Yeah, we're live. Okay, family, peace and blessings. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. As I have my Tuesday morning tea, I decided to, on this Black agenda, wanted to talk today. Thank God that Brother Jamil was available. I'm going to introduce Brother Jamil in a minute, but today we're going to talk about Black women and Black men relationships. I am joined by my dear brother Jamil Muhammad. You may know him in a lot of capacities, but today he's going to talk to us because he serves as the program director of a DC-based foundation called the Wedded Bliss Foundation. And you may have seen them. They were featured on Black in America Part 2. Jamil, welcome. Thank you for taking time to talk with me this morning on this topic of Black women, Black men relationships, which I think is so timely. I did read your post a couple of days ago when I was on my little staycation. And it just really hit me. I read all the comments as much as I could. And I was like, wow, Jamil, you're really on to something. What made you put that post up?
I was thinking, and first, thank you for having me this morning, Sister Rolanda. We appreciate it. And your listening audience on the Earth Mama uh, Healing Network is really, really powerful. We love Earth Mama Network because of what you do in so many different ways, and we're just honored to be with you this morning. But
Jamil, you're breaking up.
Okay. And
okay, there you go.
Okay, because one thing you don't want to do when you talk about Black male-female relationships is start breaking up. See, we're trying to prevent breakups. Can you dig it? So
yeah.
What we're saying is this morning, we started, that post came from an idea where I believe that the public dialogue between the genders in the Black community has become increasingly bellicose. It's increasingly some chest thumping and some foot stomping and neck rolling and hip twisting. And we get into this thing where men are basing at the women and the women are basing at the men. It may not be this way in every private home in America, but I think the public discourse, we have to be very careful to understand that Black men are not going nowhere without Black women, and Black women can't go anywhere without Black men. We need to be together so that we can preserve the health, the safety, the future of our people. And so that was what was on my mind as I put that before the public.
Mm-hmm. Right on. What are some of the examples in which you see that we are somewhat struggling in our relationships? Like, what really made that come up? What were you seeing?
Well, what I see, and thank you for doing all these things.
Oh, you break it up again. There you go. Go ahead.
Cannot break up. That is not what we're gonna do. But I have to tell you, bro, the examples that I see, it's almost like the daily lives of the families in our communities are like bricks in a wall.
Okay, hold on, Jamil. You're breaking up again. Okay, say it again. Start from the top, Jamil. You back.
The lives of our families and our communities are like bricks in a wall. That's our daily experience. And for the most part, I believe that Black families love each other. Black women are trying to love Black men and be there for Black men. Black men, in many cases, in the overwhelming majority of the cases, are trying to be there for Black women. But there are a couple of realities that I see. Number one, there is a loudly abhorrent community, a community that is so dysfunctional, that is so violent, that is so angry, that it results in what you have to do every month, where you tell the story and actually list the names and show the faces of Black women who have been killed at the hands of Black men. That's a doggone shame. Secondly, in the cultural continuum, remember we talked about the bricks in the wall being our family lives? The cultural community gives us, pardon me, and good morning, Khadijah, good to see you. The cultural community gives us a fighting, exploitative, ridiculous, distended kind of a Black man as sexual conqueror and irresponsible and rude and nasty and mean. And the Black woman now, she's gonna tell you she's got the WAP and So there's this kind of debasement of the character and the decency of our people. And I think that that sets up an antithetical relationship between men and women that we don't need, especially at a time like this. So we have to come together and begin to look for the best in each other and then cultivate the best in each other by settling on that best part of each other. And so that's what our work is about.
Right on, right on. I know when I seen the post, sometimes I just don't say nothing because I think sometimes we're not really ready to look at what's happening between us. I think sometimes the way we write off things as white supremacy, I mean, you cannot have a discussion. No one wants to take accountability. No one wants to see with their eyes what they're seeing because we are so in love with this concept of struggle or it's someone else's fault or, you know, how did you rear your daughter? How did you rear your son? You know, what's your relationship? What have your children? Because now I'm saying children, but they turn into young people. What have they seen us role model? So there's
Right.
all of these things that has responsibility in it that when it comes to us having to be responsible, we're going to write that off to, well, it was the experience because of what we were facing. And
No,
you can't really have a conversation around relationships like that.
Yeah, that's absolving ourselves from the personal responsibility. That doesn't ring true, and it's going to prove false. Because if we don't begin to accept and claim self-responsibility as individuals, as families, as communities, then we're going to continue to be lost and wandering from pillar to post, because you must accept, if you want to be treated as a man, you must act as a man. If you want to be treated as a respected citizen, then you must be worthy of respect. You cannot demand it, you have to command it. Same thing with our sisters. We want to be respected. We want to be protected. We want to be lifted up as Black women and shown the proper respect. And I'm 1,000% in favor of that. But it's very difficult to do when we get the idea, some of us, that the way we assert ourselves as Black women is to be confrontational and ugly with Black men, and Black men think the way we assert ourselves with our women is to be oppressive and unjust, misogynistic, hateful, chauvinistic, woman-hating. Oh man, it's gotten bad. Remember, and I'll say this, Ro, we've worked together for many years. You know, at the Million Man March, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan presented the Willie Lynch letter. And there's people who dispute whether the Willie Lynch letter was actual or not, whether it was from a real slaver from the West Indies named Willie Lynch or not. But if you look at what happened in that letter, it has actually happened. Our community is divided against one another on the basis of superficial, divisive qualities. The male against the female, the young against the old, people who live on the hill, people who live in the valley, people who live in one town versus the town next door. We gang bang and fight and set trip and shoot and kill and rob and murder each other on the basis of the most flimsy things. We both live in poverty in South Los Angeles. We both have poor schooling, substandard housing, bad food. We both live under police brutality and the threat of unjust incarceration or even murder at the hands of the police. We both live under that, yet one is a Crip and one is a Blood. And we fight each other over these invidious divisions that don't have any rooting in fact and don't make any sense. That's how crazy it is for Black men and Black women to be at each other's throats. We need our Black women.
But how do we really deal with the issue at hand? So I get that what you gave was an overall, yes, this is what's happening with the Black community. That's really one thing. I mean, I get it. That's almost like a universal thing. But there is something there's something in the core of who we are as Black women. There's something in the core of who you all are as Black men that, like this weekend, I was in Vegas. Here's a great example. I was in Vegas, having a good time celebrating Christy Vember. And now I did see some Black couples together. Yes, I did. I'm not saying I didn't see any, but I seen a lot of brothers with others. That was one thing. And then the second thing was I seen a lot of groups of Black women together with each other. And And then I also, this is the kind of thing that I do. So when I'm seeing couples like that, I don't purposely try to look at the man, but usually the man don't want to look at me. So what I do is that I speak to his partner.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the audacity to look up and look at me, and then I look away from him. But my thing of it is, it's kind of like if you're gonna be in love with someone, that's one thing. But why does that stop you from acknowledging somebody that if he got murdered today, you know who's gonna be out in that street for him probably first? A
Right.
black woman.
That's right.
That's been proven. That's been proven. That's why we got the Black Lives Matter. That's why all this sisters leading this. Let's just be honest. And then brothers just kind of fall in line.
The thing about it, bro, is this. We got to call a spade a spade. The reason why the man can't look at you is because he's ashamed. In his heart, he knows that ain't real love there. How can you be with a woman? We're going to get to Khadijah's question in just a moment.
Okay.
Jamil, what about those that have knowledge of self, know about the Willie Lynch syndrome, and still devalue and degrade black women? I've experienced it in a black group where it was supposed to be about black love and unity. And sister, you're exactly right. That happens in every black group. I don't care how much it's supposed to be about black love and unity. I don't care what the brand is. I don't care what the religion is, the politics, the origin and identification. Does it happen in the Nation of Islam? Yes, the Nation of Islam is not perfect. And we do not have, let me switch this camera angle, see if that works. Oh, that's much better. Isn't that much better?
Yep.
I might start looking handsome or something around here. But listen, it works the same way in the Nation of Islam. Because this whole problem is in every community, we're working to perfect ourselves and we aren't there yet. And so, Sister Khadijah, you're right. This happens in organizations which purport to have a
Uh-oh. He'd be back. I think he's got a call.
in the, can you hear me, Ro?
You're back. You're back. I see it. There's something.
Okay. Yeah. It may be happening in different organizations. We know the Egyptian history of the Ma'at. We know the secrets of the Temple of the Dead. We know the African knowledge of Timbuktu. We are aware of the great wisdom of the Ethiopian kings. We're aware of the great this, that, and the other. But in all reality, in the American context, we cannot lie. We cannot be dishonest. Honesty requires of us that we tell the truth. And the truth is this: we have been debased and devalued, and the same dog that bit black men bit black women. The same slave experience that twisted the black woman out of shape has twisted the black man out of shape. And unless and until we unite and begin a serious search for the reality of our own nature, we're going to lose every time. We cannot make ourselves little cookie cutter copies of white America. We cannot make into ourselves cookie cutter copies of what we conceive ancient Africa was about. We cannot make ourselves go back in time or distant in travel and be something other than what we are. We have to be our own authentic black selves. We live in America and we have to deal with the effect of that living, because that living has changed the nature of our interactions with one another. And unless and until our interactions begin to change on a genuine level. You see how just now when Khadijah asked the question, she said, "Thank you for your honesty, Brother Jamil." And I said, "Thank you for your question, my sister." Even that courtesy of exchange is sometimes missing from the way we deal with each other. She asked the question, are we working to love each other, or are we working to emulate white folks? I don't want any part of white folks' culture. I'm with you, sister. Let's go, let's go, let's go. White folks' culture is not in and of itself more valuable and intrinsically superior to our own culture. The question is, what culture is universally human? What culture, every human being, whether they're in Asia or Europe or Africa, whether they're in South America, North America, Australia, whether they're on Antarctica or floating on an ice block at the North Pole, every human being wants love, freedom, justice, equality. Everyone wants to be connected and wants to see their children advance. The problem comes in when you want to see your children advance so bad that you will oppress my children. Now we got a problem. The problem comes in when you want to see your women lifted up into a position of virtue and honor and dignity, but they are your partners in enslaving the rest of the human family. You can't say the white man is evil and not look at the white woman. You cannot say that. The white women are the partners of white men in racism. They are the partners of white men in injustice. They are the partners of white men in oppression. And we must become the partners of one another in freedom, justice, and equality. We have to look at each other and say, you know what, it's got to make a difference. So what you saw in Vegas, what you saw there.
But I see that everywhere. Hold on, y'all. He's hitting this text. He's on his phone. Hold on, Jamil. Okay, go ahead. You back.
And when people call me on the phone, it sort of goes dark.
I get you. Yeah, your sound go away, then you come back. That happens when I'm on my phone too, so no worries.
Okay. And I know our show is not super long today, but it is a show that we have to do. But I got to tell you, see, bro, you're doing the right work. You're working with socializing and training and dealing with the inner beings of people and making whole human beings. America was a specialization.
Oh, brother, you're breaking up.
Oh,
there you go. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to say it again. America, see, you make whole human beings at Earth Mama Healing, right? I try, when I interact with people, male or female, to add something to the wholesomeness of their human experience. But the thing is, we came up in America. America does not make whole people. It makes broken people. It makes powderized people. It makes ground into sand people. It destroys people. America is not a manufacturing plant for freedom, justice, and equality and people to be free. America's a nigger factory. America manufactures niggas. And niggas come in both genders, all ages, all skin colors, all weights, all dress sizes, all suit sizes. And I don't want to be none of them. I'm with Sister Khadijah. I don't want no part of white society or nigger society. No, I don't. White women are the first teacher, cultivator, and keeper of their culture. And every white male you see is the product of a white woman's love for her racist husband and loyalty to the systems of racism that make us slaves. So we must now, again, we got to come back and do.
So here's the thing. All that's true. I'm going to keep this spot on. All of that is very true. But I do not think that helps us in our black male and black.
Okay, I'm losing you.
Because, yep.
I'm losing you.
I can hear you, but you just frozen. Oh, I'm losing you. Jamil. Oh, Lord, now he's frozen. Okay, we're going to work this out. He's going to have to sign himself back in. Okay, family. So Jamila's going to sign himself back in. And while he's waiting to do that, because I really wanted to have this conversation in terms of looking at the relationship between black women and black men. And my thing is not even about, for me, the mating piece of it. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying in terms of the way we treat each other, period. That's why I use an example that even when I would look at the brother to maybe even to speak to him or to acknowledge his presence, you know, he would like try not to do eye contact. So I would speak to the other woman that he's with. You know, I would say, oh, good morning. Good day, you know, because of course she'd be looking at me, you know, and then he wants to look at me to speak to me. And then I don't engage him because I want him to know, fool, I was trying to speak to you first. So there's something wrong in the core of our relationships with each other. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think at some point, black folks have to learn to have a conversation where it's not always about white people. Like we got to talk about what's happening with us. And I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I know I come from a culture where black people can see themselves without other people. Like we can make a pact to do some things. We can acknowledge each other's presence. That's one of the things that I really loved about being in the South, is that I would watch black people acknowledge each other with a head nod, eye, you know, something like, hey, how you doing, sis, or bruh, whatever. So I just feel like, right on, Khadijah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, but I get you, but I don't have time for that. See, my thing is I want black men to do what I have to do. Like, I don't think there's the excuse making thing. What I've learned growing up, honestly, if you allow people to have excuses for their behavior, that's what they'll give you. But if you're like, you know what, bro, I'm pushing through, you got to push through. He'll push through. So it's this thing about balance. And I think sometimes we really struggle with that. Jamil said something that was very key. He said that when we see white men, they are products of white women. So is that the same for black men? Are black men products of their black mamas? So I think he's right on.
Goodness.
Okay, you're back.
Obviously, the video and
hold
audio
down
is being controlled and coordinated by somebody in Las Vegas who didn't like that they got caught with some other person. I don't know. I don't want to say who it is, but hey. But bro, I just enjoy your show so much. Could you just recap? I don't want to miss anything.
No. All I was saying was I heard everything you said. Thought it was great. But I was saying, at some point as black people, we have to take out ourselves. I know that our people went through hell in North America. But also when I look back at history, they just seem like they was miles ahead, even though they looked like they were standing still. Now we're running all over the place and we're really standing still. So what I'm saying is, it's kind of like, how do we create even the behavior? I don't care if you don't want to make with me. I'm okay with that. But my thing is just the common decency and respect to acknowledge your mother. Because you can't even get here if you don't come to me.
Right.
So, you understand what I'm saying? And so it's like, how do we talk about that? Because I don't care about that. You can go make 1,000 mutations. I don't really care about that.
You don't care about what?
I don't care about the black man making mutations. I don't really care about that.
Making what?
Common decency and respect that you should be giving your mother.
Everything. This is why I love what the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said about that. He said, when asked by one of his followers, he said, "Dear Prophet, after Allah and yourself, who should we honor?" He said, "Your mother." And then the follower said, "And after that, who?" He said, "Your mother." Really? After that, who? Your mother. And who after that? Then your father. Your mother is to be honored. Yes, your father is to be honored too, but the prophet, as a servant of God, knows that this is a world which is misogynistic by its history. It has been hateful of women. It has not valued the power in the woman. See? And so he said, your mother, and then your father. We are talking about a society that has to be balanced. We have to have love and respect and honor and take care of our mothers. Indeed, revived masses, alhamdulillah. We have to take care of mom, and we got to look out for pop too. We got to make sure that we take care of our elders and love both of them and show them the kind of balanced respect that is there. And so to honor our mothers is an honor for us, because as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. That the nations of the earth are not judged by the condition and activities of the men, but they're judged according to the condition, activities, and achievements and advancements of women. This world is rotten and on the way out, because everywhere you look around the globe, they're oppressing women, beating women, raping them, sex trafficking, murdering. That kind of stuff has to stop. And black men have to be on the job. I hope you can hear me, bro.
I can hear you. You're frozen in your face, but your sound is clear. So whatever it is, let's work.
All right. We
I'm
have to be on our job.
But how do we get back to that, Jamil? So here's my thing. The world has always been wicked. I get that. I just think we need to get to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. What has happened between the black man and the black woman? What has happened? How do we correct this? I personally believe it starts in the womb. So for me, I'm not going to front. I don't really give a damn about the adults. And that's it. I help where I can. But I do know if you want to control, if you want to reshape, if you want to remold or change a whole dynamic, you have to start in the womb. just have to start in the womb. Where you're basically being conceived. That's why my work is so heavily with girls and women. It's kind of like, how do I help her? So whatever, woman, female or male coming through her, how do we help to mold that? Men are not my strong suit, because I just feel like, look, dude, like, this is some common decency stuff. You can't, oppress or treat women like crap, and then when stuff go wrong, who's right there helping you carry the load? So that's a little crazy. That's why I didn't get out in the streets and Black Lives Matter. I don't give a about none of that, because we have like close to 1,000 Black women that have been murdered by Black men in America. And it's crickets in the Black cricket. That's, as a Black woman belonging to Black people, that makes me feel very sad that I'm not even valued in my own community. That we don't even say anything about that, because we're worried about how white people are going to see us. They already know we messed up. They already know. So my thing is, how do we take control of that and start having this conversation about what's going on in our relationship?
Okay, I can offer a couple of things. Number one, I wish I knew the ultimate answer, but just as you search seriously and assiduously for it, and your work leads you to work with women and girls, and that's a blessed work, so it is that I search in the darkness of our experience for what it is that we can do to reclaim our manhood and begin once again to be the protectors, maintainers, providers for our women that we must be. And I want to make this point so that we can all understand it. But see, we have to become that once again for our women. The question of how involves the kind of work that you do with women. If a man thinks that he's the patriarch of a family lineage, but he can create that lineage without a woman, he's 14 karat crazy. You can't do it. And if a woman thinks that she is so divine and she is now the matriarch of this great lineage, but she can produce it without a man, she might be 18 karat crazy. Both of them crazy. You got to have each other. There was an old song that Norman Connors recorded with the great Phyllis Hyman singing lead with Michael Henderson in a duet. And the song was called "We Both Need Each Other, You and Me." Black men need Black women. Black women need Black men. We're not going anywhere without each other. But Black men, you carry the ideals. You carry the principles. Get up, brother. Stop beating on your woman. Stop destroying her. She is the one who has been with you, as Sister Rowe pointed out to us, through all of everything. She's been the one in the streets marching and demonstrating when you are killed by police, or she's been the one making the funeral arrangements when you're killed by other Black men. She's been the one by your bedside when you're in the hospital. She's been the one by the sandbox when you're in preschool. She's been the one at your graduation when you graduate from whatever education you achieve. Why don't we show love and honor and respect for Black women? That's the question again that's confronting us today. How do we do that? And we're all looking for methods to do that. Does Brother Jamil say that he has the solution? Come be with me, I have all the solutions. No. Does Mama Rose say, no, I got it all figured out. If you do it all my way, we'll be perfect and free overnight? No, I don't think any one of us thinks that we have cornered the market on truth. But we have to be able to synthesize and take the best of all of the great number of flowers that grow in the garden of Black liberation. We got to be smart like a bee and fly from flower to flower, collecting the nectar of the flowers, collecting the pollen of the flowers, rather, and then taking it back to the beehive of our collective work, and then producing the honey of solutions that will heal the problems of Black people. Our people are suffering, and they don't need our pride. They don't need us thumping our chests and talking about how we got it all figured out, and if you jokers do it the right way, then you come on and we'll make it happen. No, it has to be a thing where we actually begin to participate with one another. Sister Khadijah says there's no direct answer, but conversations with brothers like Jamil and implementing action to create the world we want and deserve. But just know everybody can't go. Sad reality, but everybody can't go. Now we want to have each other. We want to all be able to go. We want to all be able to go, but you can't take everybody. I was talking with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about a year ago about the question of separation. And the minister said, and later said in a public meeting, he said, look, man, this ain't no everybody gonna go. We don't want to be in a land trying to be free and dignified and be a nation of proud, productive people and have a bunch of Negroes running around. You can't do that. Some of our people, and this is sad, I'm gonna make some earth-shaking news. I want y'all to look me in the eye. I don't know how this camera works. Let me see if I can look in it. Oh, there you go. Some of our people love white people more than they love life. Some of our people love them more than they love life. They love the idea of being close to them, and some of them don't want to be free. They just want to be comfortable as slaves. They don't want freedom. They just want the slave master to treat them nicer because they don't want to be free to have to do for yourself what other people have to do for themselves. One of the things that we must do is treat our women with respect. They produce our future. But if you don't believe in yourself, how can you value your future? So you abuse your women and you abuse your children and you commit the suicide that reflects your real view of yourself. Because you don't see yourself as a black man, you see yourself as a nigga. Niggas don't have a future. Niggas don't have no plans. Niggas don't have no ideas. Niggas are not trying to make a better day tomorrow. They just trying to live comfortably today. As comfortably on a physical level as they can. But now today we're calling us out of niggerdom. Come on up out of that. Come on up out of the nigger world and create the world of freedom, justice, and equality. My sister, Rolanda, I hope you don't mind me saying this about you, my dear sister, but I've been with you over years and almost a decade in time, and I've seen you work tirelessly for women and girls, and I've seen you take young men into conversations to try to understand them. I've seen you then go back to your work with women and girls. And I have not heard you speak the language of division and say, it's us against them, women against men, we don't need you. No, I haven't heard you say that. If you have, it might have been when you was driving down the road in your car, hitting the steering wheel because you was mad about how crazy people are. See? But at the same time, you know, I've never heard you become, you know, a disrespecter of black men. I've heard you talk about your dad and how much you love him before he passed. And I remember you talking about your Uncle Stanley, you know, and the things that you learned from your Uncle Stanley and your mom and your grandmom and all the whole family back in North Philly. It's like when you tell those stories, I can smell the water ice and the cheesesteaks when I walk down the street in North Philadelphia. It's because there's love for both men and women, love for boys and girls, love for the future of our people, but it first takes us to learn the knowledge of self. If you don't know self, as Khadijah pointed out, you cannot love self. Some limited self-knowledge will still not produce self-love, as Khadijah also pointed out. She said there's people walking around, they know they can recite Quran verses and Bible verses. They can recite the catechisms of the Catholic Church and the lessons of the nation. They can recite the hadith of the Islamic world, and they know the secrets of the Egyptian pyramids. But they mean as hell. They mean and they treat their woman mean. That is not it. If you are a simple man and you don't know all the mysteries, but you got love, then you can create that unity that Revived Masters is talking about. What does it mean to create that unity? How do you do it? You remember the Winstons? Rolanda, you ever heard of the Winstons? The Winstons were a singing group. And they had a song that talked about a man who married a young lady who had children. And their father, her husband, had been killed in Vietnam. And this man came in and married her. And the song says, I believe I'll color that man father. Remember this song? Color him father, color him love.
Yes, I don't know the name though. Yeah, I heard that song.
Right? Our real old man got killed in the war, and he sing the song, right? And he's talking about how he loves that man. And he comes in from work and he looks at his stepson by the measure of this world. But he looks at the son of his beloved wife, and he says to him at the end of his workday, he rubs him on the head and says, how's my child? How's your schoolwork going, son? And he said he looks up at that man, and the man looked at him with that big wide grin. And I believe I'll color him father. You know what that ingredient is? It's love. You know what the ingredient of the North Philadelphia Intruders is, bro? It's love. When they talk about, I'll always love my mama, she's my favorite girl. You only get one. Y'all know everybody in the whole audience is singing it right now. You can't hear them on the live stream, but they all singing. You only get one. You only get one. I never understood how mama made it through the week when she never ever got a good night's sleep. Right? She's working, scrubbing folks' floors to provide for her children in a broken family made by a broken society, which is determined to break us. But look what's going to happen, white America. Your racism has earned you a place in the depths of hell. Why? Because you can't oppress a man. You can't keep a man in a ditch unless you get down in the ditch with him. Silly rabbit. You trying to oppress us, but you keep yourself ignorant. You try to hide wisdom so you yourself become a fool. You try to debase our women so now your own women are loose and crazy and out of control. You try to crush our men's initiative, and so your own sense of direction has become warped and you are spinning out of control and your society is crashing. So, I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to.
No, Jamil, listen. This is my job. I'm not talking about this. Is my whole job. I don't care about white people.
Yes.
We have to remove them out of our mental mindset. If
do you understand? Do you understand, bro, that your people care about white people? No.
But I don't care about them. So those who care about
No. Listen, just check it out, bro. I'm with you. Remember when Khadijah wrote the message? She said, I don't want no part of their society. I agree with her 1,000%. But our people are like children trapped in a burning house. And they don't want to leave the burning house. We got to rescue them from the burning house.
Now, see, that's where I'm going to depart.
Okay.
Because I don't have time to go in the burning house for people who want to stay in the burning house.
Yes, ma'am.
I feel we have to save those who are outside the burning house. You know, trying to wake up, if you gotta come out of there before I mess with you, because I cannot save my nation and then go for the people who love the other side. That's what makes you always brave.
I'm not talking about the people who love the other side.
Hypertension. Can't deal with those Negroes. I gotta stay with my people. There's so many of us, Jamil, who are outside that burning house trying to figure out why. Or how do I make it better? What do I change in speed?
Yes. And let's agree. See, we are agreeing. I'm not making it clear enough.
Okay.
Let me come back and
make it clear.
Let me try. Because I'm not that good at it. I'm going to try it again.
You're excellent at it.
What I'm saying to you, beloved, is that the people trapped in the burning house used to be us. It used to be our mama. It used to be our daddy, our brother, our sister. It sure enough was our cousin. Because you know that one crazy cousin. They trapped in the burning house.
But they're not trapped. That's what I'm saying.
Let me just finish, bro. Let me just finish now.
Okay.
Consciousness is great, but it's my belief system. This is why I'm speaking from that. I have to speak from what I believe and have been taught and have embraced and have internalized. I believe that it is the intention of the God himself to actually save all of our people. Some of them are not going to go, and they will not be making that trip. Again, everybody can't go. I get that. And I just told you that Minister Farrakhan articulated that in a way that's so beautiful. Bro, I'm saying to you that there are some people who are waking up every day. The people who are waking up deserve a chance. And I'm saying there are some people who will be awake next week who are dead as hell today. I'm saying that right now, we cannot say, this is it, cut it off, that's done, everybody, we out of here. What do? We have to unite first. Our unity, our separation, our being able to go to ourselves and get our love back for one another, all of those things are happening simultaneously. And as they happen simultaneously, you are exactly right. You can't worry about people who are determined to love the other side. I think it was about 10 minutes ago, I said, some of our people love them more than they love their own life. Some of our people love them, and now we're not worried about them. We're talking about solving the problems that exist among us. I don't solving the problems that we got.
I don't disagree with you saying, Jimmy. I think maybe that's more like your job, because that's a part of your teaching, your what makes up Jamil. What I learned to be true for me is I think at the end of the day, before we can get to the collective, we really have to start with the individual self.
Yeah,
because I think that's why so many black leaders die off, leave. We let them get flat out slaughtered by the other side. Don't protect them and all that stuff. I think in anything, when those who are sleeping now, they're not even a factor in the race. You can't run a race with sleeping. But then when they wake up and they see everybody running towards a certain direction, they immediately, with their individual selves, they go and join the collective. That's how that works for me. I can't drag sleepy, dead, stinking Negroes. I won't even be able to move.
But you can't. I agree 1,000%. Now I'm more. I used to be 100, but now I'm 1,000 with what you just said. You know why? Here's why, bro. No, here's why. The best way to save people out the burning house is to set up an example of what it should be and then live. You cannot go and argue with an ignorant Negro.
Really can't.
You can't do it because he's hard-headed, stiff-necked, and rebellious. And as Khadijah said, they will hinder progress, right? It is an actual fact that you can't argue with a hard-headed Negro. You have to find those who, I'm going to quote somebody I never really quote before, but I'm going to quote him. I'm going to quote President George W. Bush. George W. Bush, talking about what he was doing when he moved into that fake war they did over there in Iraq. He said he put together a coalition of the willing. That's what we have to have, a coalition of those who are willing to stand up for right and truth and principle and do the right thing and do for our people what we got to do for ourselves. You cannot make somebody do that. Negro, I saw a Negro the other day on Columbia Avenue in North Philadelphia. They call it Cecil B. Moore Avenue. This is the truth. I'm gonna tell you. See, this is when you turn into Earth Mama Network, you get the real truth. Okay, you're dealing with some real truth. I'm on Columbia Avenue, minding my own business, and these Negroes come up and they want to mess with you. Oh, y'all the Muslim brothers. They see us in suits and bow ties. Excuse me. See, you hear that siren?
Yeah.
You hear that siren?
Yeah.
Yeah. They responded to a case of exaggerated first-degree white supremacy. Anyway, but this is what happens. They said to me on Columbia Avenue, said, y'all Muslims, y'all can't have no pork chops. Y'all can't have no chickens. And I had to look at this Negro in my statement in my mind. I didn't say it to him. I didn't want to hurt him. I thought to myself, Negro, if it wasn't against my religion, I would sell you some pork because you're so determined to have it. You're so determined to rebel against the good of your own life. Some of you are so determined to abuse black women that nobody can talk you out of it. You have to be broken out of it in another kind of way. You need to meet some men who understand that you can't do that to our women. You need to meet some people who understand that there's a different way of life at stake now. You need to meet some men who understand you can't abuse our women like that. And if you ever try to do that, then there's a meeting with you that the brothers will have. And you will not be abusing our women anymore. Sometimes the abuse of women doesn't take a physical form. Sometimes the abuse of women takes the form of deceitful relationships and disappointing exchanges and all of the other things that happen. But I'm saying to you that we must today begin to reform our relation with black men and black women. We have to reform our black women need to try like you're getting them to do, Ro. And black men, we got to do it. We have to do it. We have to do the right thing. We must protect, respect, and elevate black women. We must protect, respect, and elevate black women. We must protect, respect, and elevate black women. Because when you do that, you're providing for your own future, black man. And as I said at the top of the show, black man, you can't go nowhere without the black woman. Where are you going to go without her? And black woman, where are you going to go without the black man?
Right on.
Can't do it.
You're right, Camille. You're right. Hold on just a minute. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, you're good.
I love StreamYard. I do. I love them. But right now, our conversation sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies.
No, you sound good. You look good. You sound good.
Sound good?
I think it could be my second computer because I have two computers here. So I noticed something just a minute ago. That's what just happened. But anyway, you're right, Jamil. Let me just say this. Let's try to, in these next 20 minutes, look at some solutions. You know, Javon always says you got to give us homework. I believe in homework.
You're referring to Javon, the great
Javon
Javon
Muhammad, the great sister that's in Louisiana, who's always about that work.
Yes, indeed.
But she talks about homework, and I'm a firm believer. Like I do, like this weekend, I was talking to some of my young people that was there in Vegas. We had a good conversation. They're young girls, they're in their 20s, and we talked about some of their relationships. And I'm a staunch believer. First of all, safety is first for me. I do not believe that you should sacrifice yourself for someone else's happiness. That's not a good recipe.
Yeah.
So what kind of...
Let me show you how I agree with that now. Because see, here's what Mr. Muhammad said. He said you got to do for self first.
Mm-hmm.
Do for self first. So we agree. Let's keep rolling.
Right. So what kind of lessons or what kind of homework assignment we could kind of throw out there when we look at this relationship? That if it's a black man listening or a black woman listening, or a black child or whatever, what kind of things could we do inside of ourselves and for ourselves to link up? Because at the end of the day, my saving grace is that I believe in energy. I believe that you call to you what is you. Sometimes people be fighting like hell to roll with me, but if they energy not right, I can't roll with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because energy has to be right. What do we say to that black man who may have not had the best relationship? Maybe he got some issues with his mama. And so when he see black women, he see his trifling mama. Like, what advice would you give to a brother to get himself right? So that he can have a relationship with black women. And I'm not just talking about in relationship in terms of marriage or having children. I'm talking about sister, brother. Because I will stop for black women all the time. I don't care what you are, but I'm gonna stop for you. So, like, what kind of things could a black man do to look at himself, to assess himself, so he could be a better brother in our community, which would make him a better dad, a better brother, uncle, brother, friend, a better comrade, however you see us. What can help you?
I think one of the things that, and I hear the plaintive nature of your cry. I want to say this to you. The first thing that our enemies destroyed, and we're not talking about white folks, we're talking about us. What they destroyed was our sense of unity and cooperation. We noticed that in our original home, we had rites of passage where women showed each other how to showed young girls how to become women, and men showed young boys how to become men. There was a collective in the community, and that collective supported the agreed upon norms and values and mores and folkways of that community. We have been broken up from that. The black community in America, if you can use that name community, is divided into subsets. The Negro bourgeoisie over here, the hustlers and players over here. You got the academics over here. You got the working people over here, the young people over here. It's all divided. We have to find some common thread. So black men, The first thing we have to do is to find a common thread where we can agree upon the fact that even if we had bad relationships with women in our past, that we need black women in order to make it. Black men ain't going nowhere without black women. And black women not going nowhere without black men. So we have to determine that and then act in a way that responds to it. What I love about Earth Mama Healing Network is that what you do is you work with the realities of the situation. If you're on the ground in Sacramento, you know the lay of the land, you know some of the social difficulties with which our people are working right there in the city. So you respond to them, but you don't become reactionary. What are the standards for black unity? Black character. What are the standards for black unity? Black principle. What are the standards for black unity? Black righteousness and black carrying ourselves like real men. You don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim or anybody. You don't have to have a whole book written down with all, of the Arusha. You don't have to have it all written down. Holy Mare said this one, that. You don't have to have all of that codified. You know what right is. And we have to be strong enough to stand up for right, because right don't have a label on it. You can't rape and kill black women. I don't care what you call yourself. If you do that, you're a devil. I don't give a damn what your label is. You're a devil if you hurt black women. You must stop doing that. So our homework, that I would say the way we start is we use existing means by which men gather and purify them. I'll definitely respect our differences. Certainly, our variance is our unity. We have unity in our diversity, and that's the beauty of diversity. When it's complementary, it creates more and tighter unity. And so, Sister Khadijah, you're exactly right. I'm saying let's use the mechanisms where black men are currently located. If we have a fraternity, then let's take and clean our fraternity up, because that sin and that stain of the abuse of black women is inside the fraternity. If we have a male association, I don't care if it's a street organization or whatever it is, we must take and uproot that foolishness out of it, that poison that destroys black life, whether it's babies, women, men, our elderly. We're throwing them in the street to be cared for in these dubious nursing homes where people dumping bad treatment on them. We have lost our minds as a people and lost our way. And then only when we come back to the singularity of purpose, where we realize principle, and we have to understand principle trumps labels. Oh, I can't get along with them. They from the church. Oh, I can't get along with them. They from the moms. Oh, I can't get along with them. They from the east side. Oh, they west siders. See, we get crazy with that, and we forget the principle. Remember, we talked about how you can both be poor and both be living in poverty and substandard housing and bad schools and poor food, and you're in the same community blocks away from each other. On 55th and Gage, you're Crips. But on 57th and Van Ness, you're Bloods. How in the world can that be? You're a few blocks away from each other, but you're actually going to fight and kill one another? That's the foolishness and insanity we got to break about. And then for our women,
I know.
and I'm certainly not going to be a curriculum consultant. We have you for that role. I don't do all that. But for our women to know their value and to know their power, and for them to know that they can do anything that is good that they want, any righteous thing that you want to do as a woman, do that. Do that. Do that. And those disagreements that we have, where we respect our differences, those disagreements, that Thomas Jefferson called that sharpening your idea in the theater of public opinion. You sharpen it. Because if you know I love you and I know you love me, and we have a disagreement about strategy, well, then we put the facts on the table, and out of our love, we talk about it, and it shapes it into something that it wasn't this or that before. But now the new thing that we build together based on love is stronger than anything we ever saw before. That's where the power comes in. That's where the energy comes in. That's where the life comes in. That's where the respect for black life. That means we respect another black person's opinion that doesn't come from the same place that ours does. You know what, bro? people might not know this, but they can probably see it on the screen if they look hard enough. You're a black woman and I'm a black man. You know, some people might think we're supposed to have different opinions and be arguing with each other. But no, if I know this is my sister and I love her and I'm listening to her, and you know, wait a minute, that's my brother. I love him. I'm listening to him. Then what we do is we begin to put together a synthesis. If you had the if you had the, the actual thesis, and I had a antithesis, I'm against the thesis, right? Then we work together out of love. In the end, we put together a synthesis. And that synthesis makes us stronger. It builds us tighter. And it protects our women against the foolishness of their own men or the machinations of the other men who made their men ignorant enough to hurt them in the first place. We build, and that's not an excuse for black men doing nothing. Don't blame you murdering a black woman on you coming up in white society. We're not accepting that. Don't blame you putting your women out to prostitute on you coming up in white society. We're not accepting that. We're not accepting that. We must be able to do the things that we must do as a community and tell the truth about it. This glorification of pimps. Do you know what a pimp is? The word pimp itself comes from a French word abbreviating for a young man taken and abused by homosexuals. Then the pimperel, they put him back out to then suborn others into prostitution for whatever forms of freakishness they're about. That's what a pimp is. That's what you want to be? That's what you want to be about? And you silly walk around, what's up, pimpin'? Hey, pimpin', what's up, pimp? Silly. You black women, you're not, no, it's not friendly for you to greet each other, bitch. No, that's not, what's up, bitch? No, that's not what's happening. Because for you to be low rated and put down and bringing the babies of our people into the grave with your ignorance, that's not it. We've accepted everything debased and demoralized and lowered. Why not accept something higher, something better, something stronger? Ro, I love your work. I know that your work is not the way I would do it, but I'm just one person. I just come from one perspective. I just come from one avenue of experience. But now my sister, who I love and I know I can trust, right? You, I know you got it. So I'm learning from you. I remember you telling me that I had value. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little story with me and Rolanda. About 7 years ago, we took some youth up to Dillon Beach for a retreat for a weekend. And I didn't have any idea what I was saying to them or anything like that, because remember now, I'm at the age where I'm not the big brother no more. I'm like Pop now, you know. Pop is different than big brother. So I'm at this retreat trying to figure out how to relate to our young people, how to talk with them, how to get through to them. And Ro took me on the side and looked me in the face and she said, Jamil, the people need what you have. It's not what I have. It's what you have, but they need it. Give them your authentic conversation. And then when you do that, you'll see it. All of us will come up. Work like a charm. My sister knows and is willing to do the work and then guide others into the same work. Men, you can't be too proud to learn from a woman. You can't be so arrogant that you think a woman cannot teach you anything. Isn't your mom a woman? She was your first teacher. Huh? What about your Aunt Cleo? Her and mama tight. They taught you too, right? So then you kept moving, you kept growing, you kept working, you kept understanding, and you kept building. And that kind of a building kept you in line. So a woman can teach you. Do not think, men, that your biology makes you inherently superior. The presence of testicles is not something that you chose. It happened by the genealogy of birth, by the biology of birth. But women who don't have testicles, often have more guts than those who do. I know that history is replete with examples of women who were strong, especially black women in America. So let's give credit where credit is due. So there is an Ida B. Wells and there is a Rolanda Wilkins there in Sacramento.
So, I have a watch party, y'all. And so there's all these comments on the watch party. I feel so bad because I can't share them, because it's the watch party. But
Well,
Sister
if
Danielle,
the people on the watch party is talking about me, let me just say this. Same to you, pal. Same to you, buddy.
Sister Danielle and Sister Yemaya is basically doing a lot of talking. Danielle
New
said,
York Danielle? New York Danielle?
New York Danielle, yeah.
Ah.
They're beautiful sister who's now, that's the one who went to theologian school. Sister Danielle,
Yes.
I know you completed it, so I don't know, you like a minister or something? I don't know what you get when you finish theologian school. Sorry for my ignorance.
You get either get a master's of divinity, or you get a doctorate of divinity, or you get a doctorate of ministry, or you get a PhD, depending on your level of specialization. But when you come through theology school, you are armed and equipped. You got a full clip in your weapon against Satan, and you're ready, especially if your heart is good. And Sister Danielle's got a great heart.
Yes. He says, can't be too
You broke up, bro. Say it again. What did Danielle say? You're freezing. The screen is freezing. I want to hear this too. Darn it.
No, it ain't you. It ain't you. It's my computer, Jamil. Don't move. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna switch. So hold on. In these last couple of minutes, let me switch. Hold on. Okay. I gotta do one thing. Just hold that phone, y'all. Okay.
Oh, look at the technology.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on. Jamil, can you hear me?
Snap, crackle, and pop audio.
Okay, hold on. One more thing is playing. Let me stop it.
I can tell that you're trying to say something, but I can't tell what it is yet.
Jamil, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear now.
Sorry, hold on. Jamil, can you hear me? Hold on. One more thing is playing. Let me stop it.
I can tell that you're trying to say something, but I can't tell.
Jamil, can you hear me?
I can hear you again. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's an echo in the background. And to everybody on the watch party and everybody here on StreamYard and to all the platforms, thank you for tuning in to Earth Mama Network with Sister Ro on the Black Agenda Conversation. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Can you hear me, Jamil?
I can hear you. Okay,
great. I just switched computers because there's something going on with my Apple. That's why I'm back over here to the regular old IBM. No, I'm just kidding. So we're back on over here. So let's just get this wrap up in, Jamil. I think this is definitely a great conversation. Well, yeah, we got like about 10 minutes left. So wrap up for Black people is never 30 seconds. Like it just don't exist. No. Okay. However,
in my conclusion.
Yes, in my conclusion. So I just think, Jamil, that this is a conversation we must keep having, to be very honest with you. Because I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I think there's a lot of introspection. And I think we really got to look at the way we move and what we make important and what we accept and the blame thing. I think that's what kind of makes me disappear from subjects. You know what I mean? For conversation. Because if we just can't say we God, and then when it comes to doing the hard work, then it's the white man's God. Like, like I just never understood that concept for me.
Right.
It's that's like if we God, we don't have to be God all the way.
That's because you're used to telling the truth. And that's what I meant earlier. Some of us don't desire the freedom that we say out of our mouths. We just want to be treated nice as a slave. And so that kind of weakness of moral reasoning, that kind of specious idea that we can be free without any sacrifice, has to be driven away from us. The sacrifice is worth it. The freedom is worth the sacrifice. And we must now take steps to be free and prepare ourselves to sacrifice. Everything is not all clovers and daisies. It's not. And so, what we must do now is prepare ourselves for a fight for freedom. That fight for freedom is reality based. It involves intellectual, spiritual, emotional. It involves physical fight. It involves a financial plan. It involves everything that we must do. Check it out. And I'll leave this with you. When you talk about the homework assignment, let's look into history for just a brief second. I submit to you for your consideration, Ro, and dear brothers and sisters in the family, that black people in America in 2020 have a far more compelling case for separation into a land of our own where we can be free than the colonists did in 1776. We have a better case than they had. They weren't being killed in the streets, and they had not been turned on each other as savages. They had also ownership of land and the production means to create an economy. We don't have any of that. Yet we have still the idea that we are being ruled by taxation without representation and tyranny. We have a better case for that, but we must do what Mama Ro is telling us. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on her show. I tell her this in private when we're not on camera. Rolanda is doing a work that is valuable to our people. She recognizes me, and I thank you for this, Ro, as doing a work that is valuable to our people. We must have strong women, but I can't make strong women. We must have strong men, but Ro can't make strong men.
Certainly cannot.
We must be able to contribute, each of us, what we can bring to the table. I'm telling you, it's like a cookout. Some of us can't make the potato salad. We just can't. We can't. We got to bring some ginger ale and a bag of ice. That's the best we can do. But the rest of us can specialize in what we specialize in, and we can have a feast of freedom. We can begin moving in the direction of freedom for our people. So I thank you for letting me be here with you today. This conversation isn't over, but men, be responsible. Be responsible as an individual, and don't blame your faults and your failures on anybody else, regardless of race, class, creed, color. You cannot blame that on somebody else and absolve yourself of personal responsibility and blame it on racism. You can't do that. See, you can't do that.
I just before we wrap this up, we still got a little time. I just to be very honest, Jamil. I know a lot of strong women, and I'm okay with saying woman and strong in the same sentence. Who are very brilliant, who are great survivors and creators in the whole nine. But the truth of the matter, for a lot of those women and girls, I work a lot with. I have some sessions with girls. If I could take them, it probably would break your heart, because when we really get down to it, after we remove the layers and the mask and hit that real, a lot of, and I only can speak for girls because I don't pretend to know how men or boys think. I just not going to do that. I think sometimes we do more damage than we do good. But I know for black girls and women, there is a hurt there. There is a real deep-seated hurt when I'm talking to my girls and they're telling me how their fathers are not in their life, or that their fathers don't reach out, or and then how that impacts the way that they see boys, or the things that they take off of boys. Well, one girl said to me in the class that love is taking a lot of, like, the more stuff you take off a guy shows how much you really love him. That broke my goddamn heart. I'm sitting in the class like, okay, how am I going in the face with this sister and not slam her? Because I felt like, hell no, but she learned that from somewhere. These are girls who are teenagers, so they're trying to find their way, or ride or die, or stay with him through all the mess. That shows that you're loyal. Like, just some of these ideas that the girls are sharing with me, it's like, wow, like, this breaks my heart, because it's like, that's no, baby, no. So I just feel like at some point, I think the biggest part of this thing is to recognize your disappointment
your hurt, your sadness, your sense of loss. It's the thing about being connected. It's not about us getting together to make 1,000 babies. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, if you want, that's great, but there is something in feeling connected. I don't know about you, Jamil, but when I was growing up, and say if I don't know, I stayed out too late and we were walking home, to see some brothers like, sis, y'all all right? That made me feel like I was gonna be safe. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
remember those times. You know what I'm
And,
saying? There's a
I'm
lot of
proud.
mistakes. You see a brother now that as you walk him, you're like, oh shit, like, oh let me get somebody on phone, like, you know, he kind of kidnapped me. We gotta talk about this.
And I'm proud to have been one of those brothers that asked the question, sis, are you all right?
Right on.
I'm honored to have been one of those old heads. And I'm grateful.
You know, and one of the sisters in Vegas asked about. She said, "What's the one man that was on?" And it's Jamil. How is Brother Jamil? This young sister, 22 years old,
Is that right?
remembering you from the road trip.
Bless
How
her
is
heart.
Brother
Thank
Jamil?
you. Thank her for asking and tell her I'm still ticking. I'm like a Timex watch. I take a lick and keep on ticking. Huh? But I'm
Yes,
telling you, this is the day for us to show this love. You can notice that when we are connected with one another, like you just used the language connected, when we're connected, we're better able to survive the difficulties and stresses that living in this society places on us. When we can turn to each other instead of turning on each other, we
right
can
on.
win. When we don't make merchandise of each other, when we don't try to exploit one another, when we're trying to find a way to actually be there for each other, we
Right
can
on.
make it work. We're right at the edge of a breakthrough that's going to make us better. I believe that because the old song said it's always darkest just before the dawn. And
Right
it's
on.
never been this dark before. So the sun of a new day is about to emerge, but we must hold on, keep the faith, keep working, and work to address this deep hurt that my sister just
Right on.
spoke about. The
Yeah, because
hurt
you're
that is in
still
our
Jamil.
women is the hurt of being the invisible in America. The hurt of being a black woman is something that you don't understand if you're not a black woman. The black woman is the most invisible, the most disrespected, the least
Yep.
regarded person in America. White men on top, then white women right under them, black men, and way down at the bottom, black
Yes, sir.
women. You have in black women's lives, they are represented in their gender by white women and in their race by black men, so they become invisible. And we can't have that. I got 6 daughters. I don't want my girls to be invisible. I want
Right
my
on.
girls to be proud and happy and free to be who they want to be as individuals. And they don't have to do it my way. They don't have to do it anybody's way. If they come to Sacramento, they probably should do it Rose way, or they could catch a beat down. But but in the final analysis, they are free to be who they want to be, and that's what we have to be able to provide for our women and for our men. It's not going to look like it used to look in the colonial days. It's not going to look like it used to look in the 50s. It's not going to look like it used to look in ancient Africa. And you cannot walk down the street and think that you're going to be claiming your Islam. Some of y'all are so crazy with Islam, you would ride a camel down Broadway just to show I'm Islamic. Now you got an Arabic accent. You know you from West Philly, but you
I
got an
can't
Arabic accent. So that really my brother, don't cut that out. Be yourself. Accept your own and be yourself. If
right
you're
on,
a
bro.
black man, be proud to be that and love your black woman. You should be
Right.
proud when your women look good. If you show up at the big event in town and your wife looks beautiful in a dress like the one that Ro has on today, and she's beautiful and resplendent and lovely, and the children are all neat and clean, and they got their hair all combed. You know how the black girl haircut, hairdo with the part in the middle and the one braid over here and another braid over there, and the 2 big balls on the end of the braid. I think they call it a barrette. Yeah, when you got your little girls with their barrettes and your little sons with their little high top shoes on and the striped socks with the 2 stripes at the top,
Right on.
then that man looks good. If he comes in there with some overalls on, he's still a good husband. He's a
Right
good
on.
father because he provides for and looks out for and maintains his wife and children. That
Right
has
on.
to become the source of pride again. That
Right
has
on.
to become the source of pride. Black women, I'm gonna leave you with one thing, Ro, and I know we got to go, but let me tell you. I was in Atlanta, minding my own business. You know how I do, bro. I was minding my own business, having coffee at the coffee shop. It was something like this. I was just sipping on my coffee like this. And across the room, there were a group of black women, older black women. You know the older black women that wear the shiny sweatsuits with the baseball caps and the rhinestones on the
Yeah.
top, you know, with the blue rinse and the big earrings and just a little bit too much red lipstick. You know the ones. But they sit at the table. Beautiful black women. And I overheard a woman, I think I've told you this story before, I overheard one of the women say to the rest of the women at the table in a gentle bragging kind of way. She said that Henry and I were married for 56 years, and I never gave him a moment's trouble, honey, and he took care of business for me. What? You never gave, and she was bragging about not giving a man trouble. I thought that was unusual because nowadays what you hear is, I wish he would say that to me. I'm stand up for mine. Right, and that's the woman talking with a deep voice. Right. See, so this kind of spirit of cooperation, she was actually proud of the peace that was in her household before her husband passed away. I had to go over to the table, bro, and shake the lady's hand and thank her for saying what she said because it gave me hope and a goal. Because I haven't always been the best. I know I look like an angel today, but I haven't always been the best.
Right.
See, and I'm striving to be better as an individual, and I'm hopeful that all of us under the sound of our voices will hear the call that Mama Ro is making to you. Stand up and begin your homework. Women, teach girls the best of what you know. Men, teach our young boys the best that we know. Make them proud to be men. Show them how to love themselves as men. And show them how to be vulnerable. And sisters, show your sisters, your little girls, how to be proud and strong. I agree, there's nothing wrong with using strong and woman in the same sentence. See? But the key is, what kind of strength do we have our women show? Is it the kind of strength that usually falls to men in a society where the men have not been destroyed? Because you never hear other women saying, I'm a strong black, like y'all say, I'm a strong black woman. You don't ever hear no woman say, I'm a strong Norwegian woman. I'm a strong Danish woman. They don't talk like that. Because in their societies, their men have not been destroyed. They haven't had to be strong for women and men in both roles. But our women had to do that, and damn it, brother, we got to stand up and be able to secure our women, to put them in a place of security and safety where they can be free to be feminine, where they can be free to be expressive, and their strength comes out in different ways that they create in their own minds.
But strong is feminine, Jamil.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
The strength of your femininity, the strength of your femininity is in your femininity. In other words, if you try to be other than what you were created to be, you lose the strength of what your being is. If I'm a man and I try to be a woman, my strength is gone because I'm trying to be something other than what I was created to be.
I agree with that. I just feel like other women do say they're strong. Believe me, because we have not been in people's bedrooms or how, because I don't know what white women do when it's just all white women. So I can never speak to that. I don't know in they white world, they say, I'm a strong woman. Because they always say that every movie they in, they strong, shooting up everybody, karate chopping. So they must really think they're strong, even though their men haven't been destroyed. I just feel like we just have to have a way of celebrating each other. See, I could be with a bunch of women who maybe think they're men, and I still can see who they really are. I don't care about the other stuff. You know, I want that person to feel protected and respected no matter what they choose to be. Because at the end of the day, Jamil, I don't have to, when this is all over, the only person standing before whatever I believe or wherever I'm going is me, not us.
And that's it. And that's it. Individual responsibility, but then working in tandem with other individuals to create the idea of cooperation for national advancement.
I agree.
Nothing wrong with that. But the nation cannot be strong if the individuals are weak and have no character.
I agree.
The nation That's why you got to do that individual work. Yeah. We have to have individuals who are strong. you know, and who have the kind of character to advance the national objective of their people. We celebrate individuals in history, yes.
Yeah, but they would be
We
nothing
also
without the
celebrate,
collective.
and we also celebrate collectives and strong
Yeah.
nations.
But
That's
they would
exactly
they
right.
would be nothing without individuals. Nothing. I mean,
Exactly.
without the collective. That's
That's
like
it.
me. I would never be Mama Road without all of my girls,
Right. Right.
without my community. I
And
would
your
never.
brother Jamil.
Oh, well, definitely. But I said my community,
Okay.
Bill.
All right, let's tell it the way
But
it
you
is.
know what?
Let's
I
tell it
think
like
at the
it is.
internet, we're gonna wrap this up. But I'm just gonna be very honest. I think the real truth of this, Jamil, is that we're all so connected that it hurts when we're not connected.
Yes.
See, that's the pain. When I look at my brother and his fool don't want to look at me, and I'm like, I'm your damn mama, dude. How you
Mhm.
not gonna not acknowledge me when I'm trying to acknowledge you?
Right.
That's a real pain, Jamil.
My man was ashamed, and he knew he was
I
wrong.
don't give a damn. This dude, I don't
He
care
knew he was wrong.
if
Let me
you
tell you
was
something.
look,
You
the brother
now
who
I'm
was
gonna leave you
begging
with this.
coming down the street looking crazy. He spoke to me. He
Uh,
said, "Hey, sis, you got some change?"
right.
No,
Right. See,
hey,
but I'm
bro,
gonna
I
tell you.
got some.
I'm gonna leave you with this idea, Ro. I know that mountain lions are dangerous. I know that. I know that tigers are dangerous. Grizzly bears are dangerous. But the most dangerous animal in the wild is the snow bunny.
Really?
The snow bunny. All y'all brothers in the comment section, y'all know what a snow bunny is.
I got it now.
Hmm. More dangerous than a dadgum grizzly bear. It's not
Oh,
good for you.
you're killing me, Jamil. Look, y'all, we gotta wrap it up. I gotta go to work. Jamil, thank you so much. This is an awesome conversation. I think a lot of this stuff starts with conversation, just getting it out of our heads, and also with that homework. Like, hey, what can we do? And I just challenge everybody: be aware of how you see other Black folks, male, woman, whatever.
That's
How
it.
do we see each other? How do we greet each other? How we acknowledge each other? How are you talking in front of your sons and daughters?
Hmm.
How you
That's it.
talk in front of young people as it pertains to
Hmm.
Black men or Black
That's
women?
right. That's right.
Who they see us on TV admiring?
Hmm.
That's that subconscious talking.
That's it. That's it. And it's more than what you just say to them directly. Okay, Johnny, I want you to know. No, it's Johnny's watching you 24/7, brother.
Yes, right on.
Huh? And little Marquisha, she's watching you too, sis.
Hmm.
And they know what they looking at. And game, recognize game. You better understand it. You better understand it. So to all my family in Sacramento, I love y'all. Love you back at Danielle. Good to see you up in New York. Dr. Danielle, excuse me, darling. Excuse me. Okay. But all of us who are doing the great
Her and her
works that we
husband,
do,
dear brother.
I mean, everybody, I hope to be home in California soon and I hope to see you all in person. But in the meantime, let's keep up the good fight. And so from here in Washington, D.C., where the weather is about 45 degrees
Oh,
and it's cold, yeah, yeah. I said 45. That's a cuss word in California.
yeah.
It ain't 45.
I was getting ready like, oh, good one. Oh,
Listen, bless you, family. I love you very much. Thank you, Mama Ro.
thank
And I
you,
hope to talk
Jamil.
with you again soon, okay? Assalamu alaikum.
All right. Well, salam, dear brother. Peace, family.